Hello. Good evening.
Hello. Good morning. I think it's morning for you, right?
I am actually based out of the Hyderabad campus here, so we are pretty much on the same time
Ah,
zone. So it's 6:30 p.m. for
love.
me. Good enough.
Good evening then.
Hey,
Good
hi
evening.
everyone. How are you? Good
Good
morning.
Good.
morning.
How are
This time
you?
I got the time zone correct, I think. Right, lovely. I'm so glad to have both of you here with me today. And let's not delay. We're pretty much on time. Let's start. I am Urvi, and my association with Reach IV is in the capacity of editor of resumes and essays for students, which just means that I help students craft their resumes and essays in such a way as to best highlight their skills, experiences, their expertise, and uh, tell their stories in a way that gives them a really good competitive edge in the application process to your prestigious universities and others, same ilk. And for those of us who are here with me today, let me introduce two counselors who've joined us. We have with us Mr. Karan Narang. He is a senior manager at the Student Services and International Relations Office with School of Business, York University in Toronto. But Karan just told me he is at the Hyderabad campus now, right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Fantastic. And we also have Mr. Imran Kanga. He is Director, Recruitment and Admissions at the Rotman School of Management with University of Toronto. It's
That's right.
a pleasure to have the both of you with me today. And I'm looking forward to a very fruitful conversation. So could
Amazing.
you
Thank
please, each of you, tell us a bit about yourself and the universities before we jump into the interesting questions I have?
Karan, you start.
Oh, perfect. Thanks, Imran. Great to see you again, Imran, after a very long time.
Always
Uh,
a pleasure.
uh, just a quick check. So, have I got your name correct? Is it Urvi or is it Urbi?
It's Urbi with a
Urbi.
B for
Okay.
Bangalore.
Okay. Hi, Urbi. Urbi, first of all, thank you so much for having us here. It's always a pleasure connecting with Reach IV and the students as well. All the students but we who reach out to us via Reach IV as well, so we do see a difference. So just to give a brief introduction about Schulich School of Business. Schulich is part of York University, which is amongst the top three, I would say, third largest university in Canada. And we have been running our MBA program successfully since almost 60 years now. So the first batch graduated in 1966. So we are ranked among the top university business schools in Canada. And based in Toronto itself, the financial capital of Canada, we also have a campus here in India as well. So we started out the India campus in 2009, and we have been successfully running about 13 to 14 batches here, and we have a set of students joining us here as well. So we have MBA program, and we also have MBA in India program where students pursue their term 1 and term 2 here in India, and then they continue with their term 3 and term 4 and join the Toronto batch as well. So the program is completely flexible. You get to decide which campus would you like to start the program from, either the Indian campus or the Toronto campus. You have the opportunity to choose about 17 different specializations. So apart from your generic specialization, what we generally see, which is marketing, finance, consulting, we also have specializations around arts, media, and entertainment, global mining, global retail, real estate, and infrastructure. So with these kind of specializations, what we have, we attract a lot of diverse students as well. We would have doctors in the classroom, we would have architects in the classroom, right? So that's where we would have the diversity here on campus, both. When we talk about diversity, it's both the Toronto campus as well as the Hyderabad campus, what we have. And yeah, apart from the MBA program, we also have the Masters and the BBA program, but we can discuss that more as we go ahead in the conversation today.
Right. Thank you so much for that overview. Over to you, Imran.
Thanks, Urbi. So a little bit about Rotman and the program. Well, the Rotman School of Management, of course, is part of the much larger University of Toronto. So U of T, as we like to call it, is actually Canada's largest university, with over 90,000 students matriculating over 3 campuses each year. And Rotman is actually located at U of T St. George, or downtown campus, which is located about a 15-minute walk from the commercial center of downtown Toronto, home to about 70% of local as well as global company headquarters that are across Canada. The U of T campus is also located about a 5-minute walk from the Mars Innovation Hub, which is one of the world's largest sort of innovation tech hubs, as well as the University Health Network, which is the world's largest network of hospitals and research centers globally. So, Toronto and our location really at the epicenter of sort of business across Canada is a distinct location, is a distinct advantage. Location is a distinct advantage. Sorry, I haven't had my coffee yet this morning. And a little bit about U of T. Founded in 1827, it is one of Canada's oldest universities. In its history, has graduated 4 prime ministers, 10 Nobel laureates. It is essentially, the philosophy of U of T is that it is a research intensive institution and an academically rigorous institution. And its focus on research is really, I would say, one of the USPs across the university, because, that's really what attracts not only top talent and top students from across the globe, but also top faculty to do, to conduct their research and teach in the program. There's things like insulin that was invented at the University of Toronto in the 1920s. It's home to one of the world's first water plate instrument. U of T's Aerospace Institute assisted NASA in bringing Apollo 13 back into Earth's orbit in the 60s. So it's sort of part of the city. The city is kind of grown around the University of Toronto downtown campus, and its research has really made an impact on society. And I think that's what U of T is sort of known for, and that's what its values stand for. But about the Rotman MBA program, so our program is a 2-year full-time program, 20 months divided into 3 parts. The first part is sort of the core curriculum that all students have to go through. And the second part is a mandatory internship. So students have the flexibility to do to complete their internship in any semester in the second year or in the summer term. But it is mandatory, and I think that is one of the unique aspects of our program, is that we have a mandatory sort of work component that's part of the program, which it's really important for international students, especially to get their feet wet in the Canadian market, learn about the Canadian business environment, and get some Canadian work experience. And it's also a paid opportunity, so it's an opportunity to earn some income while you're in the program as well. The second year, of course, is as Karan said, we offer electives, so we have over 100 elective courses in 16 different areas of specialization or of interest. But I think what really sets the Rotman program apart is the experiential learning opportunities that it provides students in the second year. So in addition to, your exchange of programs and some global travel, we also offer things like global consulting projects, which are done in partnership with companies like McKinsey and Deloitte, where students actually work on a capstone project, with a consulting company working on live projects. We offer things like the Rotman Onboard program, where students actually get to sit on the board of directors of an organization, be mentored by the board, and actually make strategic decisions that drive organizations. And so, we have an entire office. It's called the Office of Student Experience, that is responsible for curating, over 1,000 experiential learning opportunities for a group of 280 students in the full-time MBA program each year. And, speaking of students, 280 students makes us the largest MBA program in Canada. And I think that's where size makes a difference, because when you, in that 2-year period, you come into the program, and by the time you leave the program, you're actually interacting closely with 3 cohorts. And so your immediate personal and professional network is close to 1,000, working professionals at the end of your MBA journey. So that's a little bit about Robin and the program.
Wow, thank you, Imran. That is so fascinating. I'm almost tempted to start applying myself.
You're welcome to.
Karan, back to you. If you've already started touching upon the details about the program or in our previous quick conversation introduction, if you could maybe elaborate a little bit more about the details, the curriculum, what the program, MBA program would look like, and maybe talk a little bit specifically about the MBA in India program, because that sounds very interesting, unusual sort of model of the MBA program.
Right. So we didn't discuss about the 17 different specializations what we have. You can pursue when you move to your term 3 and term 4 in your year 2 of your MBA program. Now, MBA in India program and MBA program, both the curriculum is exactly the same, right? It's a similar faculty which is teaching the Toronto cohort is flown down here to Hyderabad campus to teach the students here for the MBA in India program. And when students graduate, they graduate with the same degree. The degree would still say that they have completed MBA program from Schulich. So once they're applying for their immigrations later, so it's exactly the same once they're pursuing the program. Now the charm of MBA in India program is we see a lot of students, they would want to move to Canada, get the international exposure, stay there for a couple of years, and then they eventually move back to India, right? Because a lot of them, they do come with personal commitments as well. So if you have your personal commitments, and if you look forward to move, if your end goal is to move back to India, let's say after 8 to 10 years, so that's where you are also building a network here, and you are also understanding how Indian businesses work. So when you graduate from the MBA in India program, you graduate with that Indian lens, the North American lens, as well as the global lens as well, right, of doing business. Now, when we talk about the MBA program, now this would exactly be the same for both the programs, MBA as well as MBA in India. So term 1 and term 2 is where you're pursuing your core courses. The curriculum is pretty much set. Now, these core courses are really important because people are, as we have already mentioned, that people are coming from diverse backgrounds, right? So let's say an engineer would be studying accounting. There would be somebody coming from commerce background, or let's say accounting background. So all of them are brought on the same platform in term 1 and term 2, which is really important because let's say even if you look forward to pursuing marketing as a specialization, right, you need to understand the basics of accounting as well, because 10 years down the line, 15 years down the line, when you are sitting in a board of directors meeting and when you're having a conversation with the CFO, you need to understand the basics of accounting as well if you are the CMO of that company. That's why the core courses are really important. And in your term 3 and term 4, when you opt for your specialization, you also have an opportunity to pursue strategy field study. And this is one of the USPs of the program as well. So in strategy field study, that's where you reach out to a company, you understand from them the kind of challenge what they're facing, and you help them solve those real challenges, real business challenges as well. So you are from a group of like 6 to 8 students, they come together, they reach out to a company, or they are already on board of Schulich. So they would share a problem statement with you, and you have almost 8 months, 2 terms, to actually work on the problem and provide them with solutions. And this is where you get that soft landing in consulting as well. So if you go through the employment and the salary report, you would see finance and consulting is actually topping the chart. And this is one of the reasons as well when it comes to pursuing consulting. So strategy field study is one of the USPs of the program. And yeah, that's pretty much about the program as such. It's a 16 months program, and the internship is optional because we do have a lot of candidates who, for example, last year I remember I interviewed this candidate. She was from Deloitte, and she was very sure that she wants to remain in the same industry. as well as in the same job function. So she wanted to come to the program. So you come to the program, complete your MBA in 16 months, and then you move out. So she wanted to move to Canada, Deloitte office, and then continue as working as a senior consultant there. So you do have an opportunity to pursue an internship in between. So you complete your program in 20 months, or else you can just complete your program in 16 months itself. So that's totally left up to you.
Right. Thank you. The breadth and the flexibility of this sounds very interesting. I'm sure it's going to be very helpful for a lot of students. We have juicy bits next. It's the day in the life of question. I'm sure all the students are waiting eagerly for it. So to both of you, one at a time, what is a typical day in the life of an MBA student going to look like in your schools? Excuse me.
Okay, I guess I'll get started on this one. Day in the life of a Rotman student, I think, so in the first year, as I said earlier, the classes are sort of mandatory, right? There's core curriculum that all students have to do. So in the first year, students pretty much have a fixed schedule for most of the year. Classes run for about 3.5 hours every day. Monday to Friday. So that's typically done, in the morning, which leaves the rest of the day for students to complete their, individual study, group study. That takes a few hours. Students should also spend time on their job search, right? Because once they start the program in the fall, come April, which is 8 months later, most of them are going to be doing internships. And our consulting company partners, as well as banks and financial institutions, all come on campus in the fall semester to recruit students for internships. So we do have on-campus recruitment especially for internships, and so students need to spend time with their career coach. So each student at Rotman is assigned a career coach that works with them throughout the recruitment process, and but they need to spend time to meet with them, to show up at networking events, to spend time and have coffee chats with alumni off campus or on campus. So the rest of the time is networking, attending club activities, social events, also very important part of the program. And then, of course, spending some time on, their own mental health, like maybe doing some exercise, going to the gym, doing a yoga class or something. So it's a pretty full day, between classes and group assignments and study time and, networking, attending a club event or doing a case competition. It's a pretty full day. I would chalk it up to being a very intense full-time job in the first year. Now, towards the end of the first year, students do have the opportunity to do a couple of electives. So students have to take 12 electives in total. 3 of them they can take at the end of the first year. The reason we've done that is because if, let's say, a student has a finance internship or an internship with a bank coming up in the summer, they can take a few additional finance classes towards the end of their first year to, gear them up for the internship, so that they're set up for success when they're actually doing their internship and they know the material. So once they complete the internship in the summer, they go into the second year. Now, the second year schedule is a bit more flexible because students are picking their own electives, right? So a lot of students have the opportunity to take on some part-time work in the second year, either with the company that they interned with in the summer, because they can continue working with the same company, or choose to take on different opportunities. A lot of our students that are interested in certain areas, analytics, finance, business design, take on projects with either the research institutes or the labs that are here at Rotman. We have our creative destruction lab, which is a tech startup incubator. So a lot of students take up, short-term or long-term projects with some of the startups that are being incubated at Rotman, or take on, research assistant positions or TA positions in the second year, because all our faculty do hire students for both RA and TA positions. So the second year is a bit more flexible, but I would say equally busy, if, it's just busy in a different way. But yeah, that's sort of the structure or day in the life of a Rotman student.
Thank you. I feel like I've gotten a very clear view of what the student's going to go through. Over to you, Karan.
Right, so I'll save up on the time. I would say it's mostly the same. Again, with Rotman as well as Schulich, it's pretty much the same. So term 1 and term 2 is kind of fixed for the students as well, and term 3 and term 4 is when they actually have a breather, but yes, they are busy with other activities as well. So what we have generally seen is with the students, when they come in term 1, that's where they're just trying to get into the group of the MBA program, and term 2 as well gets a bit busy for them, because the kind of courses which have been aligned, those are busy courses, because apart from the courses what they're doing, they're also preparing for their internship, they're applying for jobs as well. So that's where it gets busy. And so the entire day for a student, it would revolve around, I would say, academics. It would revolve around recruitment. It would have networking events, and other which would be part of recruitment, the club activities, and then the personal time, right? So these are the 4 pillars. There would be days where academics are super important, and other things you have to manage it as well. So time management is something what students would pick up on as they are going through the entire program. Surprisingly, in year 2 this year, we actually saw, because immigration laws were changed a little, so students were allowed to work for almost 40 hours in a week. So that's where we saw a few students taking up full-time job opportunities in year 2. So they used to take the classes in the evening, the specializations what they were pursuing, they were taking the classes in the evening, and they had their full-time jobs as well. Not really sure if this would be continuing from 2024 onwards, but that's where we saw it, students doing it. But yes, it gets a bit busy for them. And again, it's one thing what you learn out of the entire MBA program is time management, right? Because at any given point of time, all 4 things are important, 4 pillars are important. It's how you balance the plate on all these 4 pillars for you.
Yeah, if I can just stress on that point, because Karan made a good point. Time management is one of the most essential skills that you need in an MBA program, because I think you have to go into the MBA with some sort of focus, right? I mean, it's okay if you don't know exactly what your role or job is going to be 2 years down the line, but you need to have some kind of focus, or at least know what you're doing the MBA program for. Like, what are the skills that you hope to achieve or you hope to gain from this 20-month or 2-year experience? And then you got to focus your time and effort on prioritizing those opportunities that are going to upskill you to what you want to do. So, if your goal is to work in marketing, it's okay to miss the McKinsey information session on campus. You don't need to show up for everything, because you simply don't have the time to do everything. So, FOMO is very real in the MBA, because there's going to be a lot thrown at you, and you're just simply going to feel overwhelmed if you try to do everything, and you're not going to be able to do anything properly. So it's important to prioritize what's important to you, what you're hoping to gain, and then, dedicate the appropriate amount of time towards achieving those objectives or targets. Yeah.
Absolutely. One point here, which actually Imran picked it up, and we have seen this with the students. When they come into the program, they want to do everything.
Yeah.
They want to pick up every club activity. They want to pick up every event happening. But at the end of the day, they're just not able to complete it. So instead of picking up 50 things, pick up 5 and complete those 5. That could be the thing. Yeah. Thanks, Imran.
No, right. I think prioritization and time management can be 2 takeaway keywords from this part of the conversation. So, Karan, if you could tell me a little bit about the sort of facilities that Schulich offers to students who apply to the MBA school. Particularly, I know both of your schools are very focused on helping entrepreneurship and that sort of thing. So, what sort of centers, maybe an entrepreneurship center that you have, or classes or career support that you provide in those lines?
Right. So apart from the CCD team, what you have, which will help you with your career and other aspects, you have academic advising as well, which you can book their time and to actually get to understand from them what are the courses you should be opting for. Again, it's totally fine if you're not sure to what to do in your program, but that's where you will pick it up from the professors, the peer group, as well as the program advising team as well. So you would have that support. The generic support what most of the business schools would have. Something which actually sets Shulik apart is we do have an entire specialization in entrepreneurship. So you can specialize in entrepreneurship as well. So that's one of the specializations. And I'll specifically talk about MBA in India program because this was recently adopted from MBA in India to Toronto MBA. So we have a specific course which is called Bringing Business Idea to Life. It's a 3-credit course, which is part of your core subjects in your term 1 and term 2. And this specific course would actually allow you to come up with business ideas, to interact with VCs, to understand and network with different founders and different startup founders as well and co-founders for you to understand how businesses are run. So this specific program was started in India for MBA in India students, and we have a tie-up with Startup India Foundation, which is done by Government of India as well. And this was recently picked up from the MBA in India curriculum and was brought to Toronto curriculum as well. So we have something called Together 2023 we recently conducted. Next year we will have Together 2024. That is where we have a lot of these students form into different groups. They need to work on a specific business idea, and then they have to actually pitch that business idea to VCs, right? So I'm actually not remembering the name of that lady. Sugar Cosmetics, the founder of Sugar Cosmetics. She was one of the judges as well last year for the Startup India program what we had. So you do have that support when it comes to entrepreneurship. And apart from entrepreneurship, then yes, you do have different kind of support, which is possible as well. When we talk about the CCD team, yes, on day one, they would sit with you, they would understand what you have done in the past and what would you like to do after your MBA program. And then they will help you with the roadmap of the things and the internship, the courses, what you need to concentrate on, and the skills, what you need to develop to actually get your dream job. So you would have that support coming in from the CCD team as well, day in and day out. So you can book the time, the academic advising time or the corporate advising time. So all those things are pretty much possible for that during your MBA journey.
That sounds really helpful. Imran, what would you say is the sort of support that is provided to people who are interested in entrepreneurship or people who are looking to switch careers when they get into the preschool program at your university?
Yeah, thanks, Avi. So, you know, I mentioned a little earlier that we do have the Creative Destruction Lab, or CDL, as we like to call it, on campus. So the CDL is essentially an incubator program that onboards maybe 60 to 70 businesses every year. And so the CDL faculty, as well as external consultants and mentors, work with the startups that are being incubated through this program each year. And for students, we've created a CDL student fellowship program where students gain access to CDL electives. So our technology, the entrepreneurship courses that are done through the CDL are some of the most popular on campus. There's a long wait list for students to get into those tech strategy, tech innovation courses. But CDL student fellows get guaranteed access into those elective courses. That's one. They get their internship opportunity is an internship with either the CDL or one of the venture partners that fund startups through the CDL, or with one of the entrepreneurs themselves. Now, the reason it's called the Creative Destruction Lab is because the lab focuses on startups that are highly scalable and that are focused on disruptive technologies, right? So artificial intelligence, blockchain technology, AI, healthcare tech, fintech, space technology, for example. So we actually have Chris Hadfield, who's first Canadian astronaut to walk in space. He is one of the mentors at the CDL focused on like the space technology stream. And so, through the CDL, it's been active for about 11 years now, and it has generated about $28 billion in equity value for the early or seed stage startups that it has incubated. So that's just at Rotman. At U of T, which is the, at the, I believe it's the Faculty of Applied Science and Engineering, there's also the U of T Hatchery that has worked with, thousands of businesses over the years, or thousands of entrepreneurs, and have helped them, create companies. I think they've created over 2,000 companies in the, since the time they've been active. So there's a lot that students can do, and it's not just about taking entrepreneurship classes, on campus. It's about actually helping entrepreneurs, or bringing your own business idea to life, whatever that interest is. You can either work with a startup or actually create your own startup through the Rotman MBA program.
Thank you. That's very exciting stuff. And now that we've got the students all hyped up, ready to apply, if you could tell us a little bit about the class profiles that usually, of the students who usually apply and get accepted into your schools, and the fit of the sort of students you want as part of these cohorts. Karan, would you want to take that first?
Right. Great. Thanks. So what kind of students do we want? Literally anyone coming from any kind of background, right? We do see a lot of engineers applying to the program as well. And we do see a lot of Indians applying to universities outside. So that's where it can get competitive for someone who is from India and who is an engineer is something what we have seen. But even though, apart from that, we do have candidates who are from very niche background, right? So you would have architects, you would have people coming from biotechnology background as well. So there are different sets of, we have had dentists and we have had radio jockeys as well in the class. So those are, rather, yesterday we interviewed someone who is a farmer, and they would be joining us for winter 2024 intake as well. So it's totally coming from a different background. But what the things what need to be looked at is when you're applying, we have seen a lot of people, they focus on the GMAT or GRE exam, right? That's where they get stuck while they're applying for the program. So move above and beyond that. So let's say if you have got a score, and if you think that's your best score and that's your best attempt, concentrate on different parts of your application. And we have seen sometimes somebody scoring 760 and 770, that's where they might neglect the other aspect of the MBA application as well. So give equal importance to your other aspects to your application, which could be your essay question, which could be your references as well. So those do make a lot of difference. And apart from that, you do have Kira talent as well, right? So where you actually have to record a situation. So we would give you a situation, and you have to record. You would have about a minute to prepare, and then you have to record your response in 60 seconds time as well. So all those things are very important. So looking at the class profile specifically, we would have about 40% of women, close to 40% of women in the classroom. When it comes to GMAT, GRE, we have seen the average score is around 640, 650. But when it comes to Indian candidates, the average GRE score is around 680, 690 is what we have specifically seen. And you have students coming from different nationalities as well, right? So about 60 to 65% students would be international. They would be coming from India, China, South America, Europe, and different parts of the world as well. So you do have that kind of diversity coming into the code. And yes, Toronto is one of, I would say, the most diverse city. So that's where you would have people coming from different backgrounds. And yeah, in terms of the international students as well.
Got it. And what about the years of work experience that you would usually expect the students to have?
Right. So the bare minimum work experience, what you need is 2 years if you have had a 4-year undergraduate degree, or if you have, let's say if you have completed BCom, which is 3 years, you're still eligible to apply, but you would need 3 years of work experience. So 2 and 3 years is the bare minimum what you need. We have seen students in the classroom who have like about 14 to 15 years of work experience as well. So the average work experience of the cohort, again, Toronto cohort would be 5.2, 5.3 years of work experience, and India cohort would be again around 5.1 years of work experience as well. So the diversity, the GMAT score diversity, the men to women ratio in the class, a lot of that diversity is balanced across both the cohort in India and as well as in Toronto.
Right. And we had a question in the chat. Somebody asked whether you consider folks who've already done a PGDM program in India. I see that Imran has already responded there, saying yes to that. What about Shulik's policy?
Yes, we do consider that, but when we are evaluating your undergraduation, we will look at the last degree what you have completed. So diploma may not be considered to evaluate your undergraduate score. Then when we talk about GPA, we will look at the last degree you have completed. But yes, it's still valued. It still helps you to build a strong application. So that is considered there. But when we look at your academics, we will still go back to the last degree what you have completed, which could be your undergrad. So that's totally fine.
Right. Thank you. Imran, if you could run me through same for Rockman.
Sure. So starting with the class profile, I guess. So yeah, I mean, our class is roughly 280 students each year. The sort of international domestic student mix is about, let's say, I mean, it changes each year. We don't have like a set quota or target or anything like that, but it's rough, let's say 65% to 70% international and about 30 to 35% domestic students. The international students we bring in from over 40, I think this year we had 43 countries represented in the program. However, the other 35% that are domestic students, Toronto being the sort of cultural melting pot that it is, we do have a lot of ethnic diversity, even amongst the domestic population. However, I think, diversity, I mean, there's multiple layers to diversity, right? It's not just about where you're from. It's also about your education and work backgrounds. I'm really proud that only about, let's say about 25% of our students come into the program with a business background. So about 75% of our students don't have a business background. They could be doctors, lawyers, artists, musicians, and I think that to Karan's point earlier, that's what really showcases true diversity in the program, is when you bring together students from multiple different disciplines, all kind of working together. That's how students really get to learn from other industries, other students' perspectives. We've had poker players in the program. We've had Olympic athletes in the program. Essentially students who've never even set foot in an office before in the program. So we truly do place a lot of emphasis on diversity. The other, women, we have this year 48% women represented in our program. So we missed gender parity by 2%. But we'll take 48% and we'll get to 50% next year. GMAT average, our GMAT average this year for the class that actually started this week, the GMAT average was 680. The range, however, of GMAT scores that we accepted this year was 560 to 800, and the average being 680. So, the GMAT is just one, or GRE is one piece of the puzzle. It's not sort of the be all or end all, Undergraduate GPA for this class was 3.6. The minimum required GPA to get into Rotman is 3.0. And the undergraduate degree, we only...
Imran?
Yeah,
sorry.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
We lost the audio for a second. Yeah, it's fine now.
Okay. Yeah, the the GPA that we use for admission into the program is the average of the last year of an applicant's undergraduate degree. So we don't even look at the cumulative GPA. We only take the average from the last. Sorry, am I back? Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
I think we're losing you a little. No, we lost you again for a couple of seconds there. I think there's some connectivity issue.
Better now? Is it better now? I think.
Yeah, I hope so. It keeps coming and going.
Okay, no, I just got off Wi-Fi, so I'm the Wi-Fi in my office is spotty. Okay, okay. So undergraduate GPA 3.6, but we take the last year. We only take into account the last year of undergraduate degree courses, and we average out those grades, which would make the GPA for admission. However, you know, as Karan said, if you have a PGDM, or there was a question, right? If you have a master's degree, about I think over 30% of our students, or maybe at least 20% of our students have somewhat of a higher education degree before coming into the MBA. So that's totally fine. Years of work experience. This year, the range of work experience admitted into the program was 2 to 12. However, the average this year was 4.5. And about, I would say, 70% of our students have between 3 to 7 years of experience. So that's that. Yeah, but you know, I think so. That's sort of the class profile overview. But in terms of what we look for in our applicants, it's really four components to our application. The first is academics, which is essentially your GMAT and your GPA. GMAT or GRE and your undergraduate GPA. We call this sort of intellectual horsepower. You know, we admit students that have demonstrated academic ability, because the Rotman MBA program is a very academically rigorous program. So the students that we admit have to have proven themselves academically that they would be able to make it through a very tough program. The second is work experience. So of course, you know, you do need to have a minimum of at least 2 years before joining the program. However, it's not just about the number of years of work experience, it's also the quality of work experience that we see in the resume. So things that we look for are, you know, career progression, leadership initiatives, or any leadership experience, any team management experience, if you've had any experience overseas, working with clients in different countries, or working across teams in different countries. That's kind of what we look for in work experience. The third is communication skills. You know, communication skills just as important as academics or work experience, not just in the program, but also in the job market. So that's something we certainly do test for, you know, in communication skills, with that sort of communication skills piece of the application. We have video essays that students need to do. And then there's an admission interview as well, where the admissions team essentially puts on the hat of an employer, right? When we're asking you like behavioral core competency questions, it's like, is this someone that I would hire in my organization? And that's sort of, but of course, you know, communication skills are a big part of the interview assessment. And then the last piece for us is something we call spike factor, which is, you know, what essentially makes you stand out from everybody else, what makes you interesting, and what value are you going to bring to the Rotman classroom and the Rotman community. And that's a 500-word short essay that's part of the application, and it's actually the only required essay in the application. So that's a bit about the profile of our class and what we look for in successful candidates.
Right. Thank you. That was incredibly insightful. And there's some risk of overshooting the time, so I'll keep the next questions a little short. If each of you could give me a quick brief about the application process the students are going to go through, particularly for people who want to reapply, who've already applied and maybe not been successful in getting admission and want to reapply again with our help, with Reach IV's help. what is it that they should concentrate on, and how can they best shine in their efforts? Karan, would you take that?
Sure. So when you look at application, I guess we have spoken, and Imran has actually spoken quite in detail when it comes to the application process, the different aspects to it. So it's pretty much the same. We would ask you, we would want to know your academics, your GMAT GRE, as well as your undergraduate GPA, and the different parts of the application would be your work experience, essay questions, and video essays and references as well. So apart from that, when you are looking at the entire application the entire application of the MBA program, concentrate on each and every aspect. So one of the essay question would be what are your short and long term goals, and where do you see Schulich helping you with those goals, right? So now this is a very important aspect of your application, where you should make sure that you give us a brief about where you are, like literally a brief, because most of the things are already covered in your CV. So just don't translate your CV in the essay question, right? Use that space to give us a bit more insight on what your short-term goals are. How do you think you're going to achieve them? What your long-term goals are? How your short-term goals will help you achieve your long-term goals? And what about Schulich can help you achieve those goals, right? So that is something what we see students, sometimes they're not able to make most of it. So your essay questions are really important. And you also have an opportunity for optional essay as well. So the second essay question would be, is there anything else you would like the admissions committee to know which was not covered in your application, right? So we see a lot of students missing out just because it's optional. A lot of students would not answer this question. But this is your platform. This is, let's say, your 350 words real estate, what you have, to convince the admissions committee on your profile, and maybe talk something about what you did during undergraduation, right? Maybe a decision what you took and it did not work in your favor, and how did you correct that decision? So something on those lines. If you have a lower GPA, what were you doing during your undergraduation that actually led to a lower GPA, and how did you make most of it, right? What are the other activities you did? So make good use of optional essay question as well when we look at an application. Now, somebody who is reapplying, they can use the optional essay question to help us understand how their profile has changed in last 1 year, right? So for any reason, if you think that, again, to an extent you would understand where were you lacking. It could be communication skills, because yes, communication is really important when you're looking at the MBA program, because you would be interacting in the class discussion with people from a diverse background, right? So maybe help us understand how did you work on your profile in last 1 year's time, and actually you are a stronger candidate right now. So, and students who are reapplying to Schulich specifically, either September intake or January intake, we do waive off the application fees as well. So if students are reapplying, they can get in touch with the admissions team. Just give us a heads up that they are reapplying, and they can get an application fee waiver as well, which is $150 for every reapplicant. So that's totally taken care of. And yeah, and that's much about when it comes to reapplication. And okay, so if you have reached the interview stage, and if you were refused the admission in the interview stage, so it means your undergraduate score, your GPA and other things, your GMAT, everything is meeting the criteria. So maybe concentrate on your ideas clearly. Make sure that your your interview answers and your essay questions, they are similar. Don't tell us that you would want to become a product manager in your essay question, and tell us that you would want to enter finance, right? Completely different. So make sure both the things are matching when you are coming for an interview as well. So those are the things what you should be looking at.
Thank you so much, Karan. And Imran, if you could take it up.
Sure. So about reapplying to the program, right? So I think we kind of preempt this by doing what we call pre-application assessment. Okay, so for any candidate out there that's watching this, if you are interested in applying to the Rotman program, as you start the research process, or once you create a profile online, we encourage you to get in touch with us. MBA@rotman.utoronto.ca. we will schedule a pre-application assessment with you. So if you send us your documents, your transcripts, if you have your GMAT, great, your resume, we will do a preliminary kind of assessment and give you feedback on what, if there's any gaps or holes in your application, we'll let you know ahead of time so that when you do apply, you make sure that you address those gaps in your application, which will significantly improve your chances of being admitted into the program. We want applicants that are successful, right? We want our applicants to be successful. So we help you do that with doing the legwork ahead of time before you apply. However, if a student is denied admission, we also then give feedback. So please reach out to us again, mba@rotman.utoronto.ca, and schedule an appointment with one of our assistant directors who will give you feedback on what went wrong, what happened, so that when you do reapply, you make sure, again, that you kind of fix your mistakes or fill the gaps that led to a refusal in the first place. So that's how we kind of manage our reapplication process. Of course, we already have your references, your resume, your everything from your old application. So it's really up to the student or the applicant to, refresh whatever they need to refresh. For sure, we need a new resume. So you can't use your old resume. You have to resubmit a resume, but we make it a simpler process. We waive the application fee, of course, and we try to use as many elements of your old application as possible so that you're not doing the whole thing again. But we do encourage students to reapply. Just because you were denied the first time does not mean you're going to be denied the second time, as long as you kind of improved on your application and you've addressed what went wrong in the first place, right? So we encourage reapplicants and just get in touch with us for feedback.
Thank you. I'm sure that's very hard for us to
would be just one point building on to what Imran just said. If a candidate is reapplying, so that application file is looked at as a standalone file, right?
Yeah.
We wouldn't compare it
Same.
to a previous application. So yes, we would know that you are a reapplicant, but when we are assessing it, it would be a standalone application file for us. So that's pretty much that.
Got it. And is a GMAT waiver ever offered by either of your schools? That's one of the questions we just got, particularly for reapplicants.
Go ahead, Imran.
At this time, we are waiving the GMAT for anyone who has a CFA 2 or higher. So if you've completed CFA 2, CFA 3, or you're a CFA charter holder, you do not need to take the GMAT or GRE.
Right. So for us, it's CFA 1 or higher. So if you have completed CFA 1 or higher, that's where you can get a GMAT waiver. And in case if you have also completed your CPA, and if you are a certified CPA, that's where you can get a GMAT waiver as well.
Fantastic. Thank you. So for a lot of international students, the financial part of it becomes a major roadblock. So are there any scholarships or funding opportunities and that sort of thing that maybe your school could assist the applicants with current?
Yeah, so when we look at international students, they're eligible to get merit-based scholarship only. And for domestic students, let's say if you have a Canadian citizenship or if you have a Canadian PR, that's where the need-based scholarship also open up, right? So every student getting into the MBA in India program specifically, they get a Dean scholarship of $10,000. This is only limited to MBA in India program. And apart from that, they can also apply for other scholarship as well. They're eligible to get other scholarship. So the scholarship process is pretty simple. So it's just that you have to submit your application, and every application which is submitted, we would be evaluating that specific application for scholarship as well. So what do we look into merit-based scholarship? It would be revolving around your undergraduate GPA. It would be revolving around your GMAT score as well, and the extracurriculars what you have done apart from your undergraduate education. What were you doing during undergraduation or after graduating in your early years of your work? So extracurriculars would also help. We are part of the Forte Foundation as well. So we do have Women in Business and Forte Foundation scholarship. We also have scholarship for Romba candidates. So being part of Romba, so anybody coming from either who is part of an LGBTQ a club, or let's say if they have, even if they are an ally and if they have done some great work for the group here in India or across, so we do evaluate them for Romba scholarship as well. So that's specifically those. And overall, there are more than $4 million of scholarship which is going across the university. So we do see a lot of students, they do get scholarship, but yes, for international students, it's limited to merit-based scholarship. Yeah.
That sounds quite helpful. Thank you so much. Imran, what is the policy like for Rockman?
Yeah, so there's multiple different types of scholarships that we offer. All of our, well, we have we have a pool of a little over $7 million just for the MBA program scholarship. So, a class of 280 students. This past year, the average scholarship in average entrance award, I should say, for the MBA full-time MBA cohort was $25,000. That's just the average. The range of scholarships was $5,000 to full scholarship. We have 6 full scholarships that we offer to students every year. And then, of course, it's a broad range depending on the strength of your profile, But the average scholarship was $25,000 this past year. So that's just the first entrance award that's given at the time of admission. There's no application required. You don't need to fill in any forms. It's if you apply to the MBA program, we assess your application both for admission as well as scholarships, and you receive the scholarship at the time of admission. Now, we also have need-based awards for all students, international or domestic, and this is purely based on financial needs. So there is an application for this. It's a pretty short application where we just ask you for, essentially, what are your sources of funds and what is your total, financial commitment needed, like what is the tuition fees, cost of living, travel expenses, etc. And we look at the funding gap, right? There's a gap between how much money you have and how much money you need. We try to help students bridge that gap as much as possible. So there's entrance award, need-based, that you can get a combination of the two before you start the program. Now, once students are in the program, we also have over 100 in-program awards. We call them in-program awards because they're available to students in the program. These are smaller awards ranging from about $2,000 all the way to about $25,000, but they are available to students every semester. Okay, so students have to apply for these each semester when they're in the program. Again, one of the biggest benefits in our program is that students will be doing an internship. This past year, the average internship stipend was $7,700 per month. And so in a 4-month internship, students can expect to earn somewhere around $25,000 to $30,000, which can further help reduce their the cost of the program for them. So those are sort of the major sources of funding that we offer. Of course, for any funding gaps, we also work with organizations like Prodigy Finance, Empower Finance. I know a lot of our students from India take loans with Credila, for example. So those funding options are also available. For Prodigy and Empower, the agreement we have with them is that they will fund our students for the entire tuition amount. So that's available to students. We're a member of Forte. We're a member of Romba as well. So there are those fellowships and scholarships available to students, depending on which special interest or which equity-seeking group you're a part of. So yeah, that's a little bit about our scholarship. Yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for that. I know we've been talking about careers throughout in bits and pieces, but now you could tell me a little specifically about the sort of placements and career support that students at your preschool get. Particularly students who may maybe want to return to their home countries after the completion of the program. So what does the prospects look like to them?
Absolutely. So I mean, oh, Karan, are you okay if I go?
Absolutely, absolutely. Please go
Okay.
ahead.
So, you know, every student at Rotman, every one of the 280 students is assigned a career coach. Okay. So the career coach actually reaches out to the student, to all the entire incoming cohort, sometime in June. And they start working with the students, right from, you know, the summer, even before they start the actual program in September, because come September, it's recruitment season. You know, day 4 of the program, you know, McKinsey's usually on campus, meeting with the students. So the Career Center needs to make sure that our students are job ready on day 1. But you know, more recently, our consulting firm partners, BCG and Bain, have now started reaching out to students in the summer before they start the program for the summer internship, which is going to be happen a year later. So our career center gets very busy with our students right from the summer before they start the program, and then of course during the program as well. So every career coach will draw out kind of an individualized career path or a career plan for the student, depending on what their career objectives are, for the internship as well as their full-time job. And then they make sure that they have regular check-ins with them to ensure that they're on track, and they're following the plan and they're meeting the deliverables that are set out for them. And then of course, there's a team of industry advisors as well that are, each of them have at least a decade in the industries that they're representing, a decade of experience, and through their own networks and experience and knowledge of the industry, they are out there sourcing jobs for our students. So I believe last year we had over 400 companies offer 600 jobs to Rotman students, So there's a sort of a business development team that's in the market trying to get jobs and get companies on campus to recruit students, and then there's a career coaching team that has individualized coaching, offering workshops and things like that for our students to ensure that they're ready to meet the employers when they are on campus.
And what about students who are planning to come back to India in particular after the end?
Yeah, so most of the companies that recruit from us are multinational companies that are located across the world. Our recruitment happens at the Toronto campus, but if a student, let's say, gets recruited at Bain but wants to return back to India, they can certainly do that. We also have an alumni, we have an India Alumni Association, and our careers team is very much in touch with them. So Rotman alumni going back to India will certainly have a lot of other Rotman alumni that they can lean on for introductions, or job opportunities, so on and so forth.
Fantastic. Thank you. Karan, if you could also address this concern for us.
Yes, absolutely. So yeah, as Imran has already mentioned, right? So even before the moment you accept your admissions offer, that's where you can start getting in touch with the careers team as well, and you can get to understand on working on your CV, working on your LinkedIn profile, and a lot of other basic things you can get done with before you join the program. So that's, I think, starts the moment you accept the admissions offer. You can start booking time with the CCD team, what we have here. And yes, they would be sitting with you to have an entire roadmap assigned of how you should be looking at things. So pretty much the same thing here. One thing which is very unique to MBA in India program, right? A lot of students would think that how do we get an internship if we are based here in India for what term 1 and term 2? How do we get an internship in Toronto, right? So that's where the team is here to support them. And they are also part of a diploma program, which is called Graduate Diploma in Culture, Communication, and Leadership in Canadian Business, which we call it as CCLCB Diploma. And students, with the help of this diploma, that's where they are networking with companies which are based in Toronto. They are also attending a lot of guest sessions, let's say, on as basic as making up your LinkedIn profile or your CV or your resume, cover letters, right? Networking etiquette. So that's one thing what we have seen. A lot of people, they do face challenges as well, because in India, when we see Indians moving outside, the way Canadian
Could you
business.
just give us I'm so sorry. So sorry. I'm so sorry. There's a medical emergency in the family, but please go on. So sorry to cut you off.
That's
I mean,
totally fine.
do you need to go?
Yeah.
No,
We
We're
can.
on
that's taken
time
care of.
anyway.
I'm so sorry for the interruption.
Okay.
No, if that's an urgency, we can just quickly wrap it up in next.
No. Please,
Yeah.
please take your time. I'm so sorry.
Okay, perfect. So yeah, so there is an entire CCLCB graduate diploma which students can be part of, and which will actually help them with internship in Toronto, and then they can take credits, or they can have 3 credits from there as well. So overall, if you look at the career support, you do have that, and again, a lot of international students, they come and they may not have experience how Canadian business work, so that's where we have to start with them in order to understand what the business looks like, how's the working culture, and a lot of other things. It might be slightly different of what we are used to here in India. And once they are looking forward to moving back to India, specifically to the home country, so we do have an entire campus here, right? So they can always drop by to the campus here in Hyderabad if they wish to. We do have an entire alumni chapter in India. So we have a Delhi chapter, we have a Mumbai chapter, we have a Bangalore chapter, which our dean, he actually visits these chapters regularly as well. So that's where we do have these associations here in India, and they are the one sharing job opportunities as well. We do have in India offices as well. We have our alums working in Coursera, we have our alums working with McKinsey, BCG here in India. So you do have enough opportunities to work in India as well. Because at the end of the day, when you're completing the MBA program at Chulik, or let's say Rotman, you are looking forward to become a global citizen, right? A global employer. So even if you are moving back to India, I guess looking at the economy, what we have one of the fastest growing economy. So yes, there are ample of jobs available here as well, and you can actually expect to earn decent amount of money once you move back. Yeah, sure.
I will just add, I'm
Thank
sorry,
you.
I know we're ahead, like we're 7 minutes over time, but you know, I just want to say for the 5 people that are on this call right now, you know, I would do your MBA in a place you want to live long term, right? If you're not, you know, it would be, we would love to have you come and do your program at Rotman in Toronto, but if your goal is to go back to India, you know, you have to think about ROI, right? I mean, you're paying your tuition in Canadian dollars. You want to make sure that you're going to work in Canadian dollars to recover your investment. I mean, yes, you know, we can help support students who want to go back to India and get a job with a bank or a consulting firm there, but you're simply not going to earn the same. I mean, you know, India's growing and there's a lot of opportunity, but the simple fact is that the currency is just not the same. So you're not going to earn the same amount of money that you would in Toronto. So I just want to caution students there. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Imran. I think that's actually a very important point that students sometimes miss in their enthusiasm of applying abroad.
Absolutely.
And Karan, thank you for detailing. It sounds like both universities have very robust systems in place for placements and career support. We are, like Imran has pointed out, we're overshooting already, so we're ready to close this. But before we leave this very interesting session, I'd love to have a couple of maybe parting thoughts, pieces of advice from both of you for students who are planning to apply to your universities.
Right. Imran, you want to go first?
Sure. I'm actually just typing out our email in the chat here. So mba@rotman.u Toronto. Toronto.ca.
Okay. Want to take it in the meantime? Okay. If Imran is taking it, that's great. Either of you.
Yeah, I mean, parting words, you know, I think one, do your research. There's a lot of different business schools out there offering a lot of programs. you need to figure out which one is the best fit for you, depending on, what your career goals are, and where you want to be long term. There's different universities that have different strengths in different things. So, do your research. And I think that's where, companies like Reach Ivy can help you kind of narrow down the place, the school, all of our admissions teams, admissions staff are here to help. So don't feel like you're going through this journey alone. We're here to help you. So please don't hesitate to reach out to us. I will also just say, I want to throw this out there. I'm going to be in India in 2 weeks. So we're doing a series of sample classes where we're actually bringing the Rotman experience to India. We have a professor, Professor Dilip Soman. He is a professor of behavioral economics here at Rotman, and he teaches in the MBA program. So we're going to be traveling with Dilip to host sample classes in Delhi, Bangalore, and Bombay, starting August 26th to September 2nd. So please, go onto the website and to the Rotman website, to the events page, and register for one of the sessions, depending on the city that you're in. We're also going to be scheduling pre-application assessments. So if you are thinking about applying, and you want to get your application assessed before you apply, we are still accepting, we still do have some time to meet with students one-on-one. So if you want that one-on-one coaching or advice, both myself and my colleague Linda Vanderberg are going to be in India in 2 weeks. So reach out to me on the MBA inbox, and we can schedule a coffee when I'm in India. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Imran. That's very exciting. I'm sure there are going to be students who are going to turn up to those classes to get coffee with you. Karan, parting thoughts?
Perfect. So feel free to apply. Again, more than applying to the best business school, apply for a school which is best for you. So, and great thoughts, what's been shared by Imran and by Urbi as well. So just don't get stuck on your GMAT or GRE, move beyond, concentrate on your entire application, because when global business schools are looking at your application, we do have a holistic approach. So just don't get stuck on GMAT, GRE, move beyond. And that's where I guess Reach Ivy, they can really support you to actually concentrate on other aspects of your application as well, and be thorough with your application when you are invited for an interview as well. And yeah, I've just dropped my email address in the chat section. So if you have any questions, you can always reach out to us. We can actually go through your undergraduate transcripts, share it with us. We can let you know if you qualify for our MBA program or not, or what are the different things you need to concentrate on. So we can have a pre-interview round with you, a session with you. And if you are traveling to Hyderabad, we are literally 200 meters away from the Hyderabad airport. So if you are flying in or flying out from Hyderabad, feel free to let us know, and feel free to drop by to the campus as well if you're here. And looking forward to your applications in future.
Thank you so much, Karan, for that. And with that, we're at the end of what has been a riveting conversation. I have enjoyed myself. It's been so informative. Thank you so much for your time, and I hope to see you around.
And good luck.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Urbi. Thanks, Imran. Have a great day.
Thanks.
Bye.
Karan, take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.